आप सुन रहे हैं ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग कम्युनिटी स्ट्रीम।
Hi, this is Q live and direct from Delhi. I hope you all are taking care of yourself wherever you are. Many of us have been quarantined for months or working from home longer than usual, which is also putting us in a space where we are not able to spend enough time towards our mental health and even not able to get the most out of what we are doing. So, I'm here to remind you to take a moment, breathe in, and pat yourself on the back. Please make sure you are cognizing and appreciating all the positives you have done recently. We'll be talking about this in the stream, so stay tuned and let me know what you think about it. And if you have some feedbacks, you can write me a mail mentioned in the podcast description. For this episode, we have Trishala Alva, who is a product designer and a human centered design practitioner, currently working at Tamanna, which is a fashion and a digital marketplace based in the Middle East. We'll be talking about her journey as a designer, her creative process, and about her life in Portugal. Welcome to the show, Tishala. What's up?
Hello, how are you?
How's it going?
Good, good. I was just fixing up my IKEA cupboard right now.
Do
It's quite a tedious task.
you doing it alone?
Yeah,
Uh,
alone. I'm waiting to come to India, but I'm not getting my second dose.
why?
So this is the only project I have during the weekends.
Why so? What's stopping you?
No, I'm just waiting for my second vaccines. I'm waiting for the health center here to message me when there's a slot available. So once that's there, 15 days after 15 days, I'm just going to book the tickets. I'm going to be there.
Yes,
So I'm just waiting to be back home. Yes, I want to be back home. I want to meet all my friends. It's been 2 years here, so
yeah,
I'm missing Ghar Ka Khana quite a lot. So
yeah. And how was your lockdown? How did it work with you?
lockdown is great because the company I'm working with has a remote policy. So whatever we are doing is all based on cloud. So we are working online like every day. And in case if you someone wants to go to the office, they can, but it's not a necessity. You can work online. So I prefer to work online rather than travel all the way to Lisbon, which is like 2 hours, 2.5 hours away.
Mhm.
But I think I'm enjoying the work from home quite a lot, even though it's quite it's not too interpersonal like how we used to have when we had this face-to-face interaction, but it's still more convenient.
Yeah,
Like there's more work-life balance right now because you're not traveling too much and you're not wasting a lot of time traveling, so you have more time to do any other things rather than just work.
yeah,
So that's why I'm enjoying this.
yeah. That definitely makes so much sense. And because of the pandemic, we've realized that we can still be productive without going to office and traveling, and can save a lot of hours traveling. So yeah, I think that's a,
Yeah.
that's a good part for the people who really don't kind of enjoy it, traveling to office. All right, Tisha, let's just talk about your schooling. Let's start with your schooling and what drove you to choose design and join a design school.
I'm actually an accidental designer, I would say, because it wasn't my like it wasn't my first choice.
Yeah,
I think it was also because of this childhood conditioning, and my family is filled with doctors and engineers.
yeah.
So even I wanted to pursue engineering or even medical for the sake of that.
Mm.
But I think I started off taking in science, but then I saw this lack of disconnect because I didn't see myself. I didn't understand half the things. Basically, I didn't know what I'm learning and how am I applying this anywhere.
Yeah.
It was also like maybe I didn't have the right people telling me or explaining it to me. But like since the beginning, I was a very visual person.
Yeah.
I used to imagine things more visually rather than when people say something I couldn't add up in if it didn't make sense in the visual manner. So before coming into DSK, I was actually going for architecture.
Yeah.
So I gave in my architecture exam and everything else.
The all in.
So then, yeah, the all India one. So I was planning to do my architecture in Bombay, but then again, there was this Raffles Institute Design in Bombay.
Yeah.
So they had their posters up, and I was also interested in cars because my dad used to love cars,
Yeah.
and we have this big area where we set up all those 1:1, not 1:1, like scale model cars.
Yeah.
So that intrigued me. So I was like, okay, let's try automotive design. You see. So we went to Raffles, and I think I was going to get enrolled there, but suddenly, like I don't know, subconsciously, my soul said, like, okay, don't, you should not go. You should wait.
Yeah.
And just the same night, one of my mom's friends called, and he started talking about DSK,
Yeah.
and it was in Pune. And the next day, we called DSK, the college, and they told me that there's going to be an exam next week. And I went, and that's how DSK came into picture. And I'm really glad that happened. I'm really glad I didn't go to Raffles.
Yeah.
And I think that like somehow my intuition said don't go, and I came there. And I think DSK, everything changed once I entered that college. I made great friends. I learned. I'm really also, the other thing is I learned how to. I think that's the starting point of how my journey with processes came into connection, basically. Like in the start, I didn't know how to relate myself to design, but I think once the design process like imprinted on me, and that's this time I started liking design more.
Yeah.
Again, in DSK, I wasn't like the best sketch person, or I wasn't the best product designer, but I was really into users.
Yeah.
I really used to like this user centric process. And for me, from research to creativity, like was like my heaven. So I used to love this phase. Development was not my strong suit,
Yeah.
but like because of the team projects, so we have analysis, creativity. So once the team project started, and that's the time I think I started to really like design. And really, it also creatively, like I think, I don't know, but I have this knack of connecting patterns,
Yeah.
so I can quickly understand patterns quite quickly. So that's why the process thing also got quite interesting. And I think everything started going really great once I was in college. And the thing was, when I was in DSK, like I said, I didn't know where I wanted to go, which is also a good thing, I think, because it didn't put me inside like a box.
Yeah.
It also gave me a flexibility. But during college time, I didn't think that. I actually thought that it was like the weakest thing possible,
Yeah.
because I used to skip from product to transport, and I used to go for both the long projects. So because I actually liked going through both the projects, but like some of the teachers weren't that happy, but somehow they allowed it. But it was, I think, the best journey I could actually have, because it gave me the ability to be more adaptable
Mhm.
to whatever situation I'm in and whatever projects I've put in. Because in the end, if you know the core, that is the user and the process, you can design is something which is more fluid.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're a designer, you can basically, your main intention is to solve a problem, and solving a problem can be anything. So that's one thing that we I learned there that you're not always going to be stuck as an industrial designer or a transportation designer. You can use your abilities everywhere, and once you know the process, it's adaptable like everywhere, even in real life
Hmm.
situation, basically,
Definitely.
even for yourself in your life.
uh, uh, were you into this state of mind when you started the college, or you spent some time figuring out, okay, what was happening? Because did you even realize in the beginning that, okay, maybe you kind of liked this phase of design and not just maybe sketching or something which had different skills involved, like as you said in maybe you was it the case where in the beginning you realized, okay, maybe I'm not the person who sketches or who develops the design, or you spend some time maybe figuring it out?
Like I think during DSK I was mostly experimenting. Like I knew that I wasn't like, you never do something you're really fearful of, but I had to do it there. So I was trying to, I was like, I did give my time, perfecting the art of sketching, even though I don't know about it. But I think everyone around me, especially the people in the SK, were very helpful, and they were very humble in that term. If you ask for help, they'll actually help.
Yeah.
So it was also learning through, collaboration that also impacted how I think about everything. Because even if I have something, not that great, but somehow it could be, compensated with someone else. That's why collaboration is also something we need to encourage, because everyone cannot be good at everything.
Yeah.
You always have one good thing, and that's what I didn't realize that in DSK. But after I passed out, like I finished DSK and I started having my career thing, and I think it was during the pandemic I started self reflecting a lot. And when I was self reflecting, I actually, me and Swati, we always have this conversation, even Abu, basically.
Yeah.
So we always have this conversation, like we are like, we never had like a, goal, like we want to be like the best designer or something like that. We were actually more fluidic, and we were actually going towards things that, made us more curious. So we actually like learning more things, like different topics, and God knows something vague, which is not even considered, a topic of industrial design. So we
Yeah.
used to just go there. We used to, so this is how we tried understanding what we are good at. In DSK, I didn't realize, because it was basically mark system. So everything has points, right? So we had to work hard so that we don't fail. So we
Yeah.
pass to the next level. But I think at least I didn't realize that, like, there was some strong suit. Like I didn't realize that processes, or, I understood that phases. I was really curious during research and creativity, but I didn't understand that, because I think I have a strong suit here. That's why I like it. But I realize it's somehow innate.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely sounds so good. And of course, as you said, I think collaboration is one of the best ways you can learn. Right. I was
Yeah.
a bunch of days back, I was talking to people, like students of Stat School of Design based in Bangalore, and I
Mm.
was kind of talking about the same thing, that how collaboration takes you places, and it whenever you are in a dilemma of improving your skill sets, you should collaborate with the person you kind of
Mm.
appreciate. And talking about collaboration, I'm also like, just to let you know that currently I'm collaborating with a 16-year-old 3D artist who's teaching me about
Oh, nice.
simulation and stuff. So yeah, I think you also shouldn't keep any foundation while you're collaborating. So yeah,
Mm.
I think when yeah, we are talking about your experiences in college. What was the kind of state of mind you had when you were maybe was going out to do your internships, and when you were applying for internships? Were you in a state where you had an idea, okay, this is something I really want to do, maybe I really want to try product design or something else?
During internships, no. Actually, like I think it was also a wrong state of mind in DSK because we were so fascinated with the idea of going out that we forgot that we needed to apply for things that we actually want to do, you know. So
But
I
when you
wasn't
when you talk about going out, you mean going abroad to?
going abroad,
Yeah.
yes. So and the thing is, like in DSK, there were so many. There were, you know, we looked up to industrial design quite a lot,
Yeah.
and we were like, okay, we have to go IDEO, we have to apply to all the industrial design, not IDEO basically, but other other
Yeah.
industrial design companies.
Yeah.
I was just applying and I was just waiting for like someone to accept. And so finally, I got accepted in my first internship was in Munich, which was great because I think that's where I started learning more about storytelling
Yeah.
because I was given this task. So my boss was also he was also like a vice president of a company in Germany that
Yeah.
makes heating solutions. So they were rebranding themselves.
Yeah.
So they came up, they were like, you know, sometimes companies don't think a lot about processes. They don't think about, you know, how it originates and how can you sell or market
Yeah.
the new thing they're trying to introduce. So they introduced this new color. So my boss said, like, why don't you make a presentation like showcasing what this color is all about? But they didn't have an idea of that. So I had to cook up a story basically.
Yeah.
So so that's when I started like giving this story. Like I started having this knack of stories, you know. So this color originated from this and that. And he was really impressed with that. Even I was quite happy because I started connecting even the mundane part of design to
Yeah.
something, even if it's in the wrong order. But it made sense because they were trying to rebrand themselves and the story somehow made sense, even if it didn't uh, click for their on their side creatively. So since then, I also started applying storytelling everywhere. And so even if I had an internship which was industrial design based, and we did a lot of industrial design work, a lot of 3D. So I was quite fast in Rhino after that. But the main thing I actually took from that internship was storytelling. And if I go back and look at that phase, I would actually say, oh, that's where my red flag was. Like, I'm not actually only an industrial designer. I actually am curious about something else. So
Yeah.
it was that was an experience. And with internships, the second one, like the internship was like in DSK, especially if you feel like going abroad, we all have this hardship of, you know, the visa not getting accepted.
Yeah.
And there's also like a take in that you have a lot of peers who are getting in and whose visas are getting accepted. So that during that particular, I'm just going back like 5 6 years, I don't know how
Yeah.
many years
Yeah.
back. So I'm just going that there. So I had two internships which I secured, but my visa didn't go quite well.
Yeah.
So I internalized that issue, saying that something's wrong with me. Nothing's happening well with me, you
Yeah.
know, just because I'm not getting my internship abroad. So so then I had to stick with my internship in Bombay. But actually I got to learn a lot because through I think in DSK we were so well equipped with skills, and we were so well equipped with the mindset we have. So the people, so my the second internship, my head, he was really impressed with everything.
Yeah.
So he started giving me more responsibility, even though I'm an intern. He started giving me more responsibility. So that's where I think the way I started thinking more strategically over there, because we had limited budget and we had to go around on solving, problems, etc., for different products.
Yeah.
And that's where, the industrial design also quite changed, because it's not nothing, not, it's not about designing a beautiful product. It's also about solving or designing a solution around how to make this product come into market.
Yeah.
So that was a great experience. And I think one of the takeaway from my internship is, like, don't get like disheartened, like if you don't get, uh, what do you say, like if there's a, setbacks in visa processes, for example, or you don't get a response from
Yeah.
an internship. You should always be open to learn whatever come may, because everything is an opportunity for you to grow. And uh, if it's not your ideal, dream, but still you are learning more than what you could actually imagine. So actually make yourself a sponge, I would say, even during internships.
Yeah, I mean, when we study design and we have this task of securing these internships, it's always difficult for us Indians to kind of crack that one position out there. First, you have to make that kick-ass portfolio to kind of compete
Mm.
with the designers outside. And even if you get that opportunity to kind of work at the place you want, then visa comes into place. And
Mm.
I think I keep talking about this with my friends and also my seniors and the people I've studied with. This has been a problem and also kind of impacted us to feel bad about it, and kind of feeling
Mm.
that okay, maybe there's something wrong with us, or maybe
Mm.
it's about our
Mhm.
portfolio. But I think it's also about the timing and a number of
Yeah.
things which maybe we do not think about it. So yeah, definitely we should learn from the setbacks and maybe be a little patient, cause it's really a kind of a deal to crack that opportunity out there. So
It is like you said, it's like the matter of timing. Sorry, more than timing, alignment.
yeah.
It's alignment of
That's a better
you
word.
and like more. That's one thing you have to see. But I think even if like for me, if I was in that position again now, my response would be completely different. And it happened recently quite a bit. But I think everyone has to go through that path to realize this.
Yeah.
And I think no matter how much we convince them or advise them about this, they need to have their own journey to understand, to realize this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always like, no matter what, if you look 5 years behind, you always think you've grown. So that's what your answer will be every 5 years.
Yeah.
I think every day.
Yeah, that's very well put, Tishala. So let's talk about your journey when you kicked off your journey in at Pedro Gomez Design. Uh, it was
Oh
based in
yeah.
Portugal, right? So this was just
Yeah,
after
it
you
was based on.
graduated.
Yeah, so Pedro was like my previous employer. Pedro was in my graduation show. So that's
Yeah.
where I got connected, and I got the opportunity to work in Portugal.
Yeah.
So over here I was actually working as a strategic industrial designer. So again, I was more into industrial design, and this was an agency. So it was a small agency and it was a startup. So that this is like everyone's like, what do you say, how do I say, creative pot, because you can do whatever you want. And it was like my ideal spot, because I'm a designer today, I am a graphic designer tomorrow, I am a user researcher the next day. So this was really good because I could put my hands, like I could get my hands dirty anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. What do
So
you mean
this was
by what do you mean by a strategic industrial designer?
so strategic. I don't think they they termed the word correctly, but I think because it was a strategic design consultancy, so they wanted to have like a role of a strategic industrial designer. That means we need to know, have a strategic understanding of how the products will be, you know, coming into the market. But again, uh, it was a big word to use, I believe, for a junior designer.
Definitely
In
sounds
the
good.
end, it sounds good, but I don't think it makes sense. But it was that. Uh, uh, so, but the thing is, it was a great opportunity because again, I wasn't a person who's I said stuck. I wasn't in confined to a box. I used to like everything. So over here, I was given an opportunity to take part in branding, even uh, you know what do you say, branding, strategic visions of the company, industrial design, user research, extensive user research, which is really great. So I learned a lot here. I made like really good friends, and I learned a lot from these people, especially in terms of understanding vision. And also I think over here I started growing more in terms of how I see how you can lift a product.
Yeah.
It's not through design, but a lot of things come together to elevate a product. Even research, even users, but also your stakeholders, because you always keep forgetting. We are so concerned about the users that we forget about the stakeholders. Like, what are the relevant, how are we actually impacting the business? How are we impacting the people working inside the business we are serving?
Yeah.
So this was a good takeaway from the this role I had, because we were working again with the stakeholders as well as the users, and it I think it grew creatively as well as strategically,
Yeah.
because over here the the patterns from process went into strategic thinking. It was more like, what is the north star of this product? How is the customer journey of this product? How then understanding how is the service behind this product? Because then, like, once we left BSK, in like product design wasn't the only thing. It was the service design, it was the entire ecosystem around the product. So it was understanding this, and thinking about the entire scope of the product, like entire 360-degree of how the product goes inside the market, which was really
Yeah.
interesting. And it was also very eye opening. And I started understanding that um, my curiosity is more around the product, and how can we lift the product up, and how can we portray the benefits of the product, as well as how can we actually solve the issues for the users and the businesses.
Yeah. Were you implying your favorite subject, storytelling, to it? Was that
Ah,
a
yes,
part of it?
yes, especially that was because sometimes we had to convince the client, because again, this is a small consultancy. So whenever there's a business decision, right, they always go for the end product. They always forget to think about their customers. So we always had to convince them, or showcase the value of the user experience, which usually companies always fall off of.
Yeah.
So over here, it was clear understanding is like convincing your client, but with actual facts.
Yeah.
So that's why we were making them understand that. And there were some clients which don't reciprocate well with the storytelling,
Yeah.
which is understandable. We also have to know our audience, but there are some who are very environmentally conscious. They actually want storytelling in them, so that they feel that emotions, they feel that motivation to actually understand the value of experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it did come into.
That totally makes sense. Um, and do you think maybe design awareness was a part where you thought that, okay, maybe you have to take a step back and maybe spread some awareness about design to the clients to make the process better? Because I think I get this difficulty all the time that like my first step to do a freelance project is to first maybe educate my client about design. So was that the
Yes.
case when you were working as a
Yes, all the time. It's still the same case. Even within the company, you're actually facing the same thing with different teams. They think a job of a designer is just to make something beautiful.
yeah
But until or unless you don't you don't show the value of design, show the value of how you can bring about change and where you can actually apply design, they won't understand it. So recently we just had like a product design presentation within the current company I'm working at, and we were just talking about design systems and how we try to make consistency in design.
yeah
And we also spoke about, tone of voice, content, the brand, everything, the brand and the identity, as well as the design of the product we are uh, giving our clients. And that's where they realized. So there's suddenly all the people from different teams started approaching us, because before they thought our only job was to have a good user UI on the website. That's it. They didn't know that we could actually put our scope somewhere else.
yeah
And suddenly they saw that we had something more valuable. So they started approaching us. They started trying to tell us like how could we improve this, and we actually started advising them. And that's where they saw value. But until or unless we don't uh, try explaining or try to show our value, they're not going to. We are always going to be put in another box, saying a designer is only capable of doing something beautiful. That's it.
yeah
That we only provide value there, but I think we provide value inside a lot of things. And like I said, design is about problem solving, and problem solving can be applied anywhere. If you know the process, a problem solving can also be applied in a non product or design, what you say, aesthetic design
yeah
place.
I really like the point you mentioned in our last conversation we had about how, as a designer, we kind of underestimate the power of problem solving techniques to your own life. So, do
Yeah.
you want to talk about it?
Yes. So it's always like I always like this came across during the pandemic itself. It was like designing things around my life.
Yeah,
So it was because it was also like trying to understand, like during the pandemic, it was like I was just overworking myself and I wasn't thinking about anything else, because then I started getting more demotivated to do anything else, and my eyes was always stuck on one place.
yeah,
So slowly I started rearranging things. I saw small issues. So one of the small issues, like the tiniest issue, was keeping my house clean.
yeah,
Then I started just keeping like small things clean that can actually impact a lot of your
yeah,
day-to-day life. So slowly I started improving that, started getting more what you say, order in my life. So everything was going wrong in my life basically during the pandemic. So there was I think I was having talk with Swati and Abu regarding this, and we were just like, we have so many issues, and we are always unable to look inside our own life because we'll find so many issues that
yeah,
we'll have to solve a lot of them. But the best thing is to pick out the most tiniest issue that has a big impact in your life. So for me, it was first thing was cleaning my house and waking up and setting up my bed. These are like the tiniest changes, but if you keep it on hold for a long time, it accumulates a lot. You get more disorganized. So
yeah,
if I do that every day, I'm actually reducing a day of complete work.
yeah,
So like slowly I started seeing different patterns. That's what I was talking about, the patterns, right? It was about the this so one of the things what talked about during the internship was me blaming myself for not having the right skills, and it was my issues for not getting the internship or not having the visa, because it was my problem. But slowly during that time I realized that I need to change the way I think
yeah,
about it. I should be more I should have more gratitude because I've learned so much, irrespective of where I was. And this time, when I lost my job, that's when I actually applied this. I was like, okay, this time I'm not going to victim blame myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame myself this time. So this time I'm going to work on myself. I'll I'll not go inside that bubble again saying that I'm not worthy, but I'll start improving myself. And after no, like I didn't stress a lot, but I got a job quite quickly. I think compared to other Portuguese people, I actually got the job quite fast. Even they were shocked. I was like, I think I already started packing my bags. I was like, okay, I'm coming to India. I'm just giving myself 1 month and I'm coming to India.
Yeah.
And I suddenly got the job. But I was keeping my mind open, and I wasn't, putting myself inside again. I wasn't going to do the same thing again, because that time I was literally torturing myself, saying that I wasn't working on myself at all. So this time I was like, okay, I'll work on myself. Then I'll go for my trainings. Then I'll do whatever actually I want to do. If the outcome is good, great. If the outcome is bad, I'll go back to Bombay. I still have everything. The good thing is I have roof over my head and I have food to eat. So that's all you need. And that's all I said to myself. You have these two, that's fine. You have some money, you can get by Portugal easily, quite easily. So that's where I was lucky, and I always had this gratitude. But it was quite different for my friends here,
Yeah.
which I didn't realize. And that was like the third perspective when you see through design, that you think you know the user, but there's another perspective of the user which you don't see. So they were like, oh, how you're living alone in Portugal in a pandemic without a job. How are you surviving?
That's right.
But
Yeah,
I think it was,
what was your process?
sorry.
What was your process when you were kind of looking for jobs, or maybe you contacted people you knew, or how was it for you? What kind of process you followed?
So the process I followed was I was on LinkedIn continuously. I think for me, being the pandemic was the best thing that happened. I know it may be wrong for a lot of people, but yeah, I also lost my job here. Yeah. But I think it was good because again, I was able to leave industrial design and I want to pursue something else. So this gave me an opportunity. It opened up an opportunity for me. So I started applying for different companies, a lot of companies which does UX UI, but I wasn't getting accepted. So what I started doing is I had this friend of mine. So he said, why don't you go on LinkedIn and find people who are working in that company and start establishing a contact with them. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
I didn't ask them for a job.
Yeah.
Basically, what I did was I was asking them for career advice, and
Yeah.
I was actually showing my portfolio to them as well.
Yeah.
So they started giving me advices. They started me connecting to different people from different areas.
Wow.
And that's how I came to an understanding. I didn't get a job through contacts, but I think I improved my perspective on what UX UI is.
Yeah.
Because even though design is flexible, UX UI is a very fairly new field, basically. So their vocabulary is quite different. So even if I'm saying that I know what you're doing, when you're giving an interview, you're not matching that vocabulary with the designers.
Yeah.
So they think you are not capable enough to, do this design work or not. So that's why I started establishing contacts with different designers. And I actually looked into a guy who was an industrial designer before,
Yeah.
and then he's transferred into UX UI. And that was the best thing that happened, because there were UX UI designers telling me you should actually start from a junior position.
Yeah.
And that guy was like, don't do that. If you do that, that means you're actually decreasing your pay scale, and you're going to struggle in a long run. So it's better you establish yourself as a mid-level designer so that you are in that pay grade and you're not going down. So I stuck to my ground, and I knew that I had 1 month left to go to India. and I'm not taking, a junior position. And suddenly I got the job, and I was quite happy because the guys I met in this company, the one who took my interview, he was so good. It was like, it was the first time I felt that I wasn't having an interview. I was actually talking to him. And I was actually talking about design. I was talking about people. And I think whenever now I have shifted my mind of employment in that, because I don't see myself just working for a company just to deliver. I want to know that I connect with that person or that company. And this is what I was seeing here. So whenever I was giving an interview, there were interview questions like, what's your biggest strength and what is your biggest weakness?
Yeah.
I didn't like questions like that. Like, it's like, what's your biggest strength and what's your biggest weakness? It's a
I
very,
also don't see any.
it is a question without context.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I was like, okay. So you could actually see, when your interview goes like that, I'm like, oh shit, thank God I didn't get selected there. So that's, but this one was like, it's like a good conversation going. And I was so happy after the interview. I was like, okay, I see myself here, because I see myself working with people who are talking in similar wavelengths. They're not talking about, this is the deliverable, this is the deadline. They have no context of what they're talking about. This is more like you care about what you're talking about. And I think that was the shift. And whenever, if I ever, switch jobs, I'm going to go with that feeling. I think Swati told me.
Yeah.
She's like, if you are in a dilemma, what do you feel is good?
Yeah.
How do you feel with that? What with the interview? And I went with my feeling, and that was good. And I think that's what one of the takeaways with interviews.
Wow. I think that's a really good pointer. I'm also gonna keep in mind. Cause yeah, as you said that maybe in a scenario where deliverable matters more than a human is kind of a toxic state of work, where you don't maybe get the most out of you, and also you get confused most of the time. So this is where relationship building comes into the show, because it also makes your life simpler, and also kind of pushes you to do better. So I think, yeah, definitely that's one pointer where you should keep in mind that you are maybe more than a person behind the deliverables, but also a person who's maybe a team player, and getting the work done, right? So yeah, let's talk about your life in Portugal, Trishala. How long have you been in Portugal?
I think it'll be 5 years in February.
Wow.
5 years in February. I still don't know the language. But I try speaking to them.
Why you
I
don't like
try speaking. I
you don't
can
like
order food. No, I like the language. It's a very difficult language. Like, we are only dealing with, like, small set of verbs. There, here it's quite difficult. Like, everything changes according to past and present tense. Every verb changes in terms of you, me, them, their, they all, us. So the verb changes according to them. So it's a very difficult language, and you can only get have a grasp of it if you are speaking to people regularly. So now I'm speaking to people, so I'm not that bad. I'm good at it. So people who don't know English can understand me quite nicely, which is great. But I can get by it. But I'm still learning now.
Yeah, that's good.
But Portugal is great because I think when I was in Munich for my first internship, I think I came there during the wrong time. It was after August. It was raining, no sun.
Yeah.
It was cold, and I was literally depressed there. So that's when I found the value of sun so important, because I used to hate the sun when I was in Bombay and Pune, because I used to sweat a lot. So I used to always hide. But when I was in Germany, I was like, oh no, I miss the sun. Even the 2 seconds of sun I used to miss. When I was in Portugal, this is heaven. It's always sunny. it rains a few times, but it's always sunny, and I love the weather here.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I'm really glad of here. The people are really good. It's always sunny, and the beach is like just 10 minutes away.
Wow.
So for me, it's like a vacation while I'm working. It's a really nice place.
That's the best.
You should visit.
Yeah. That's the best package you can get. Right.
Yes.
Uh, did you
The
and I've been seeing you kicking a lot of punching bags and
yeah.
like training so hard. What do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Yes. So I was never athlete when I was in India. Basically, I never liked gym. My mom used to put me in gym because I was quite fat,
Yeah.
but I wasn't an athlete or something like that. So here I I was there was a time I was so engrossed in work. I was like, okay, let's skip this and just try going to the gym.
Yeah.
And suddenly there was this, because one of my friends told me, so he was a national level paintball game. I don't know what you call player. So he was
I
telling me
never
about
know it existed. Something like that exists.
it exists, it's seen in Portugal. So he
Wow.
was quite good at it. So he said that, my strategic thinking improved quite a lot because of games.
Yeah.
So he was saying that when he was playing paintball, they used to assess a lot of things. They used to see where the target is, how you move. It was also collaborative. So
Yeah.
he said, whenever I was thinking about a project and I need to approach this, I always think strategically. So that's why I was thinking, like, I need to, evolve myself there as well, because I think you're getting real life experience while working, but you should also gain some other perspective through different challenges. So I was like, I used to go to my gym. I used to look at people punching the bags. I was like, okay, let's try this. The first day was the most, the deadliest day of my life, because the first day I had to run 6 kilometers.
Wow.
I've never run a kilometer in my life. The only running I had was like 100 meters and 200 meters race. That's it. And suddenly going to 6 kilometers was like, oh my God, what did I do? So for 40, it's a 1.5 hour class. So 45 to 50 minutes is just warm up. So this 6 kilometers was warm up.
Yeah.
I had to go 6 kilometers and then I had to start skipping. And I only had 10 minutes in the back with the back. That's it, 10 minutes. But I realized the value of cardio then,
Yeah.
because my trainer, he is like a national level Muay Thai coach. So he's like, if you don't train yourself, you won't even last 1 minute in front of your opponent.
Wow.
So that training was just so that you have 2 minutes of endurance punching the bag. And that day I couldn't even do for 30 seconds. And I would ask anyone who has never done, ran for a long time, just go for a bag and continuously hit the bag for 30 seconds. They can't. It's the most difficult thing. Looks very easy. It looks very easy, but when you're there, it's not easy. But I think for me, Muay Thai was the best thing, again, because it also involves a lot of collaboration. Collaboration in terms of, I know you're fighting with the opponent, but the thing is, you are amongst people who love Muay Thai, as well as it's like a familiar thing, because you're like it's I would say it's a negative term, but it's like a cult, but it's not a cult. But it's like, the good thing, it's the thing is, they all went through the same journey as you're going. Even if you're starting off late, it's just like design, right? Like I'm talking to you because I've gone through that journey, and now I'm trying to give you some perspective on how I approach this. The same thing, it's the same thing there in Muay Thai as well. So the one thing I learned there was never leave a man behind. So whenever I'm running, I'm the last person in the group while running. So they all come back for me, so that I'm not the alone person there. So the same thing. So now whenever there's a new person who's coming to this uh, to work out with us, when the person is really slow, I go back, we all go back and we bring them together. And it's a really good thing because I started applying the same thing during our team collaboration as well, So whenever there's a new joinee, we don't let them feel left out. We always need to make them feel more comfortable, because if you don't make people comfortable, they'll never have this, comfort to share what they have in mind.
Yeah. And how do you think that maybe this sport has changed you, or maybe changed your thinking?
It's changed a lot because again, I think that this is also a lot of involvement. I think this has also improved the way I think, because I told you, right, because during the internships when I used to have setbacks, I used to cry and I used to like stay in bed and blame myself. But I think once I started with Mata, it was every day I was challenging myself to do something different, and the people around them never made me give up. So I never like to run. I still don't. But we have another saying is like never give up. When you're running 10 kilometers, never give up.
Yeah.
So the same thing I didn't know I was applying it, but my mindset completely changed, because over here I am in hell while I'm running, but still I'm pushing myself. And suddenly when I'm in a different hell, my mindset is quite, I started thinking more positively.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is okay. If I could do that, I can do this.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with my Thai as well. I couldn't complete one complete workout the first day, but now I can finish it off within 45 minutes. So it's the journey. You have to just go through it. And I think I actually advise people to take in an activity which will this will actually help you quite positively, because your mindset actually changes. And I didn't believe my friend before when he talked about paintball, but you won't realize it that there and then that you're changed. But then when you retrospect and think about, I wasn't depressed this time, why was that? Because I started being more positive about things, because I saw that I am improving somewhere. So that thing is not impacting my life anymore. So this is a good path to choose for everyone. Like, don't be always, focused on your work. Try going outside. Try improving everywhere. Like, I think everyone says you. I think it was Simon Sinek. I think Simon Sinek.
Yeah, Simon
Do you
Sinek.
follow him?
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's like,
That guy.
yeah, he's really a good guy. Like, he's quite inspirational in that sense. He's like, I don't know anything.
Yeah,
We know nothing,
a lot of
basically.
time, like I the reason I why I love him is that he always kind of talks about the mindset towards
Mhm.
achieving something, and also the human part of it, right? Like for example,
Mhm.
I think in one of his interviews he was talking about how maybe very little conversation can lead to a really good day for someone else, right? So that
Mhm.
these really small things he keeps mentioning, that maybe you should maybe build honest relationships, and also kind of
Yes.
takes care of should take care of each other, at least in the environment you're working together. So yeah, man, I totally love that guy. Yeah.
He's a very good guy, because you also spoke about this, right? You are learning from someone who's junior to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing you should apply. Like even for me, I know nothing basically, and I think everyone should be open, irrespective of hierarchy. We should keep our egos aside and think of ourselves as, like, what can we learn, because everyone has other things, like everyone has different plus points, and sometimes you have to accept that maybe you're not good at this thing, but if you partner up with them, or if you learn from them, even actively listen to them, you're learning so much. And I think that's what Simon also says. And I really like what you said about human interaction. No, human trust is really important in the company as well.
Yeah.
Like, even for the interview, like I said, if I don't find connection, I don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, like if someone new joins, I want them to feel comfortable because they need to grow and they need to express themselves. If they don't express themselves, basically they're just working, but they're not adding value. But we need everyone to add value, and you add value when you're more comfortable, you're more trusting.
Yeah.
And you add value when you feel that you're heard or you're listened, you're listened to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one thing you have to.
That's a really fair point, because otherwise it's just one sided, and it kind of makes you feel down about your position in a company or in a team. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And also I think it affects a lot of your mental state also. And what do you think about like, in order to, as you said that you were wearing multiple hats when you were working at Pedro Gomez Design. How do you think that maybe being that high level creative, how much this mental well-being is important, and how this mental space affects you to be maybe a high level creative, or maybe it doesn't matter at all? What do you think about it?
I think after the pandemic, I realized that uh, job is one thing, but you have another life as well. You have friends as well, and you have other things to grasp knowledge as well. So I think it's like wearing multiple hats, also meaning not necessarily a multiple hats on in the same field of area.
Yeah.
You could wear hats everywhere. You could explore new things. It's like, again, there's so many possibilities. Now you can become a programmer while sitting in your house in your pajamas. So
Yeah.
you have a lot of opportunities to learn. You have like so many things coming up online that Google has introduced online colleges. So this is, I think, the best time. Maybe some people don't think it's the best time, but I think it's like the best time to actually become whatever you want. And now nobody's actually stopping you. Nobody's asking you for degrees, and that's the best thing anyone. So I think it's a really good things for like the youngsters to go through, because they're not like, even if they fail at something, they can actually find what they want to do quite easily and quite efficiently without struggling so much like how we used to do in college. Like you have to do degrees, you have to do this, you have to become a master.
Yeah.
Now nobody cares. Now everyone just cares about whether you can do this job or not, because no matter what interview you go, they're again going to ask you to do a task.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like portfolio is useless. Basically, the portfolio is only the entry point, and again, you have to you have to do another task because we want to see whether you're capable of
Yeah.
handling this and stuff like that.
Do you think that that makes sense? Because like, when you spend hundreds of hours of time in your projects and kind of compiling it to build a final portfolio, and then you reach out to these brands and then they ask you to do that project, which most of the time is their life project, and they kind of make you work on that for free. What do you think
Yeah,
about this culture? I think in India it's a lot,
I
it's a lot happening, man.
it's the same here.
Yeah.
Like I have very conflicting thoughts on this, because I can understand why companies do that, because they want to to feed off, like remove the weeds from the flowers
Yeah.
or the plant. But on the other side, it's like a really stressful task for an individual who's going through this process, because if they're trying to have an interview and you have like 4 or 5 people asking for a task, it's really stressful for them to
Yeah.
go through this. And I don't like, if I had a company, I won't encourage this. I would actually see the person, like if they're willing to, if they show curiosity, that's a one sign. Because if they show curiosity, that means they will do whatever it takes to learn a new skill, because it's very easy to learn skills, I would say. That
Yeah.
you can learn something quite quickly. Even I was just in this company, and one of the previous interviewers told me that I'll take at least a year to learn things. And I just had my evaluation, yes, I think Friday, and my head said that you're quite quick at this. And I knew that its skills are very quickly adapt. Like you can learn skills quite quickly, but the mindset is quite important. So once you have a mindset of curiosity, at least for me, if I interview people, I would always look at that spark in your eyes.
Yeah.
But this is very stressful, like having a task, but I could understand the brands doing it because companies doing it just because they want to see whether you're fast or not.
Yeah.
But I see it for programmers and front end developers quite easily because they need to have clean code and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is understandable. But for designers, I don't. At least personally, I don't think that's relevant.
Yeah.
You
What?
have a portfolio.
Yeah. What kind of projects? Yeah. Getting back to our design conversation, what are the kind of projects you are doing at Tamanna at the moment, and what is that brand is about?
So Tamanna is like an e-commerce marketplace based in Kuwait, but
Yeah.
they have their headquarters in Dubai and they have their technology headquarters in Portugal. Portugal is like the Bangalore of India, for tech. So it's the IT hub here. Lisbon is an IT hub.
What really?
So there are a lot of
Yeah, I thought
it is
yeah, I thought it's kind of a village kind of a space where everyone's just chilling or
no,
having conversation maybe.
no. Every second person I meet is a programmer here. So
Wow.
they're like it's filled with them. So it's like a really upcoming place. So that's why they tried implementing the technological headquarters here. So we are dealing with so all the product and the designs are done here and they're applied. And we are actually showcasing the product in the Middle East. So over here, what we do is I am hired as a product designer, but this product designer is a digital product designer. So what I do is I am managing the storefront, which is the website, web store basically on the browser.
Yeah.
But we have different products, which we have one something called the seller lab, which is the back end side, like the stakeholders relating to the stakeholders, and then we have the mobile app, which is a completely different designer. So every store, every product, which we say, like this website is a product. So every product has a different designer. So I have to understand the experience. I have to report to the product manager. Then we have business. What do you say? We have business requirements that come, and I have to say whether it matches or not. Which is it makes does it make sense for the user or not? Is it relevant to be implemented or not?
Yeah.
And that's where the say is, and that's when user experience comes in, whether the user is ready to take in a new feature or not. And that's when we contradict with the design with the business through user research and user interviews. So if there's a basic business requirement for a particular feature, we have to see whether the user is willing to apply that, or does that make sense or not. If it doesn't, we have to negate the business requirement. So that's why designers come quite handy here. And the other place where we are focusing on is the design system. So
Yeah.
this is like the best thing ever. So there's a software called Figma.
Figma.
It
Yeah.
is so good. Figma is really good. So we have our own design system. So we are creating everything from scratch, every component from scratch. So what this does is this is like imagine like a like you're making a car and this is like the entire drawer of spare parts.
Wow.
So depending on what car or motorcycle you're making, you'll have the same design language and you can pick and select the part. And if you want to change a particular color, you just go to the main file, you change that color, and the entire set of the car can, reinterpret itself. So it's a really good tool, and it's also very valuable for a company, especially in the digital field, because you maintain a lot of consistency,
Yeah.
and it's it might be a lot of work at the beginning, but at the end, it's so much. It's time saving, because now my time is not only making the product beautiful, but my time is more valuable to understand the customer and how whether the customer will go through the journey or not. Because if the customer doesn't like, we're not getting, the company is not getting the money.
Yeah.
And the good thing about, I think, the reason why I also chose digital design, like product, like UX UI again, was because you have quick user feedback, which I didn't have in industrial design. You
Yeah.
have to wait for 2-3 years to for the products to get inside, like outside the market, and then getting the user feedback. So you're not having that real time connection, though we had real time connection in like user test. But with digital design, every or digital, I mean UX UI, you have feedback quite quickly, and every week, like we have like a assembly where they say how much money we made through this feature. So you're actually seeing your impact, and you're actually seeing the returns the company is getting investing in our designs. So that's really great, and also like makes you feel that you've contributed somehow the other. And I think that's the best thing I could see
And
initially. But but I again don't see myself here in the long run.
yeah. Uh,
Let's see
what,
where
what,
I go.
what do you think were the similarities between the processes of industrial design and user experience design? Yeah, because I think a lot of lands on a same plane. But what do you think?
Mhm.
There was I'm sure there was a lot of learning and unlearning while shifting to this field, or maybe it didn't change at all.
I, it changed a lot. I thought I knew, but it changed a lot, because it's it's similar but way different
Yeah,
as well. Like there are some things, like for us, it's like we know the process. We know ideas, like we do brainstorming, this, we know this.
yeah,
But in UX UI, there are best practices,
yeah,
which I believe I already know because I'm looking at sites. If the sites have, this particular flow, this is how the this is how it's validated.
yeah,
But there are a lot of like learnings behind UX UI, because there is something called the accessibility. Accessibility is about including people who are colorblind.
yeah,
So that's why icons are used, so that it's easier for them to associate. If it's a warning, it's something, so because they can't see particular colors.
yeah,
And I didn't have the understanding whether that's important. For me, I thought, UI is just like making the screen really pretty, and then thinking about the user experience.
yeah,
Because user experience makes sense. Like, yeah, you're going from one place to another, but what if that user is colorblind, or has some difficulties in understanding the UI itself? That means there's a problem with the design, and you have to be quite inclusive in terms of that. So there are different things. And I think when my second colleague came in the company, so for the first 3 months I was the only designer, and suddenly there was another, but she's like 6 years senior to me. But
yeah,
I had, this turf issues, because I was like, I'm in this company for 3 months. I know a lot more than you do. But I realized
yeah,
I didn't know shit. Sorry, but I didn't know anything. And I think took me a while to, put my ego aside there,
yeah,
because I realized that, like, it's okay that I don't know it. I don't know a few things. Even if I think I was justifying my actions by saying that my vocabulary is different. I am process oriented. I can, go with that. But then I realized, like, it doesn't make sense. My thought process is not right. And I realized that because I saw myself getting content. So I put my ego aside, and I started learning from her. So it's so good because I've learned from a person who has 6 years of experience in 2 months.
yeah,
So that's what happens, like you're quickly learning things that would have taken 6 years to, accomplish. So
yeah.
she actually imparted me a knowledge of 6 years in 2 months. So now, if you talk about a lot of things, I can quickly answer because she was really humble enough to explain it to me everything instead of me, reading books around it.
Yeah.
So it saved a lot of time, and always keep your ego aside. So there are a lot of differences when you go inside UX UI, and be open to it, but also be open enough to learn from your peers. Don't be like stubborn and say, I know everything, I can make this good. Try understanding the reality and try like putting your guards down and absorbing a lot of things which you can.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think are the like for the people who are listening and kind of trying to put themselves in the market of experience design? What are the practices of maybe learning the process better or maybe doing it better in the industry? What do you think are the processes of or the practices
Is
they should be doing?
so the best practice is, like imagine it depends, so try understanding a company's structure, basically what technology they're using, because starting I was like, what the hell is technology? I thought technology is this website and some programmers doing things. No, just understand what the company is doing, because there are technologies which help. Like imagine, I don't even know how to say this, but there are not everything is done out of scratch. There are already tools and available so that the company can launch a site
Yeah.
and support the products on their site. So try understanding the technology, or the outside, like the structure of the company. Then try understanding like what is UX UI about. It's like simple best practices, and I think UX UI differs from mobile apps to delivery apps to e-commerce apps. So everything has a different UX UI like assumptions, but try understanding just the basic principles. There's something called the design heuristics.
Yeah.
There are some principles regarding that. Try understanding, try learning a little bit about it, but everything else, at least for me, was through practice. But not everybody can be as lucky as me. I got a job in UX UI because without even having an experience. But if you're trying to look for a job with experience, you need to have some idea about it. You could go on Skillshare or Udemy and try having free courses just to have an understanding of what UX UI is, and try applying that in projects. Try making your own projects and try applying that principles inside that project. And I think then I think a lot of things you have on YouTube. I have gone through a lot of things on YouTube. I've learned a lot of things on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go there, refer to, if you're learning a new software, go there, refer to that. Figma is really helpful if you're going for UX UI. Figma is really helpful if you're strong in processes. If you're strong with user centered or human centered design, then go on Figma, understand the software. YouTube is like God's gift, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely not agreeing your point where you said that you were lucky enough that you just got that job without any experience. Because I think while you were working as a strategic industrial designer, you were also kind of applying all these skills in your processes. So I don't think that you're lucky at all. It just you have been working towards this process for a long
It,
time.
yeah, it is, but the thing is, you won't get that people in your life quite easily.
Yeah.
I was, because, there are some people who are open enough to take in. Imagine, because that guy who interviewed me had he himself was a graphic designer who transitioned into UX UI.
Yeah.
But the other people who are interviewing me were from UX UI, and it's a fairly new field.
Yeah.
And they don't know the principles of industrial design or the principle of design prior to UX UI. So they don't see a connection. They don't see you as a fit. They're like, he doesn't know this because he doesn't know what heuristic is. He doesn't know this because he doesn't know this.
Yeah.
But that's where I got lucky because that's when the alignment part comes in. So I met the right person at the right time who understood that I have the understanding, even though not I don't have the vocabulary, but I have the understanding of, I can solve problems. But not everyone might not need them. And so this is like, if you want to be prepared, it's better to be prepared than, just go around and thinking that you're lucky. So
Yeah, yeah, really, that's a really fair point. Um, like in this whole process, what are the specific things you really love about this process, about design, to be specific? What is that one thing you love about design, or maybe one part of a process which kind of you really you still enjoy to the date?
I love design as a concept completely. The entire concept of design I love because I think it was I was a very distracted kid. I think I still am. And it just gave, like, it fed into all my curiosities. Like, I could do anything. I could research on something and I can be curious. Like, I think it just gave a means to feed my curiosity a lot. And I was really lucky again in DSK also to have an opportunity to go and explore different things. And even similarly now, because I think during the earlier days, I was also like, oh, I wish I was, focused on one thing. At least I knew which path I want to go. But I think design was like a savior for me
Yeah,
because it, allowed me to be whatever I want, without defining who I am. So, like, I don't have to define who I am. I don't have to like tell my everyone that I'm a product designer. What is a product designer? I won't say that. I'm like, I can do whatever I want. I'm a designer. I'm here to solve a problem, and I can apply my thoughts anywhere in the business, if possible.
wow.
And so that's the thing. I think design as a concept for me, it was a lifesaver. I thank God I didn't become an engineer. Something would have Someone would have been in a bad accident, or like the ship would have been. I think it. I think, I was actually talking to Abu regarding this. It's like if we could apply the practices of design in schools,
Yeah,
like from since the young age,
yeah,
because it would have been so much helpful for me,
definitely.
because I would have understood the why of everything, because I wouldn't have just, done, what do you say, permutation and combination and geometry for no reason, just because there's a circle. I didn't understand the why am I doing this. But if I would have understood the why, I think I would have been really curious and it was actually regarding, because we were really into, this systems thinking. Me, Abu, and Swati were doing a course around it.
Yeah.
So again, we like systems thinking, so we can actually apply this everywhere. So this is one of the things where education was, I think, is vaguely very close to me in terms of educating people around, so that they are more well equipped with this. So one of the thing was, I think it's in Finland. I don't know. I think I'm not sure whether this exists or not, but this was my colleague talking about it. So they have reconstructed, I think, Finland or Iceland or somewhere in the north. So
Yeah,
they have reconstructed the entire module of the school so they could encourage people, like children, to use both side of their minds
yeah,
and apply, be more curious about understanding why this happened, so that they use the rational and emotional side together. So they created modules in terms of themes,
yeah,
so if something happened in, imagine, so if they have a theme called about Nazi Germany, basically, so they would actually construct all the themes around, like all the subject themes around it, and let the student define what the right answer is.
yeah,
Because they have to understand their own capabilities. And this was quite interesting because we could actually apply design thinking, because we have, I don't think our schooling, our educators, our education process, at least in Maharashtra, it's not that great. You're not rationalizing your answers quite quickly.
Yeah.
And when I came to design school, I became more pragmatic and I started understanding a lot of things. But I think if we, reconstruct the schooling system in India, there could be a different trajectory where we are going. We could actually have people who are more creative, not only going through one specific area, even though we are really good at it, but we can actually explore more in more spaces, more areas, and we can actually utilize that and try making more curious young individuals,
Yeah.
more that encourage more innovation. So that was one of the topics. And system thinking is really good because we were also looking at mental health as an issue. What is the problem in mental health? What is the problem with a lot of things? And I think my end goal would be somewhere in systems thinking. But how my career is going right now is, again, I started at an agency with a small team. Now I'm in a company, which is a startup. But how now I'm understanding the systems of a company.
Yeah.
So these systems somehow feed the company. So I'm looking at a company as a human being, and you have different organs, which are different teams, which allow the company to, to walk around, show itself to a person like a brand, have its own personality.
Yeah.
Similarly, now that once I'm in systems thinking, I understand I can connect different areas, like just like different teams in the company, and identify how these problems could be solved, taking in the different aspects of whatever we have around. So that's the thing I really intrigued me about systems thinking, and I think my end goal would be there.
Yeah.
But I still don't know how I'm going to reach there because I think I'm still not well versed with the concept of it yet. Even though I know it, but I don't know how to apply it, how to execute it, I would say.
Yeah. In all, yeah, as you've talked about the process, how do you keep inspiring yourself? How do you find the inspiration behind kind of to stay intrigued at what you're doing, or and on every pointers? Okay, I'm sure that there are spaces where you kind of stuck and maybe learning, and maybe it's getting intense to you. How do you find inspiration to kind of stay interested
I think
to the field, or at least what you're doing?
personally for me, inspiration only comes when I'm looking for it or when I'm not looking for it. So basically something that keeps me like on my very active is speaking to my colleagues, like my friends, basically Swati and Abu. I always keep talking to them. So
Yeah.
it's not only about design, but we actually speak about a lot of different concepts that have requirements of designs within them, irrespective of what the context is all about. So that's how we are very much like more in touch with it, because like one person is really interested in something, I am interested in something, and someone else is interested in something, and we come together and we talk about it. So that's how we are learning something in a very short time, because we are actually listening to one another and trying to understand through their experiences as well. So that's how we are learning, and that's how I am interested in, because I'm not a person who likes to read books. So some people might be really good at it, but for me, I find my inspiration in, again, I find my inspiration in these podcasts. I find listening to be something really interesting for me,
Yeah.
or watching a movie or watching a documentary on the screen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't, for me, books are not natural. Otherwise, practice is the one thing which inspires me.
Yeah.
But I think if you open the doors for, there are podcasts, and I think you have to choose what's really good for you, because if you forcefully take a habit that you're not interested in, even if you follow it for a bit, you might lose it.
Yeah.
But try taking a medium which is really beneficial for you, because you will absorb a lot. Use that.
Yeah.
because that will benefit you a lot. Because subconsciously, even if you're not listening to a podcast, you're somehow taking in information that you don't even know.
Yeah.
So that's what helps me. I like to look at. I am a visual person, and I like to listen. So these are the things. Not a book person. I'm not a bookworm. Sorry. Until unless something it's I have to research on it. I'm very curious about it. Then it's fine, and it's written in good. But reading a 500-page book, I couldn't. Sorry. I might want to, but I can't complete it. I have two books right here that I started. I already finished half of it, but after that I don't have, intentions of reading this, even if I really like
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I
I
think
just don't find the motivation of it.
I think the thing with the reading is that, as you said, sometimes you can't just force things onto you. But I think I think of course, I've read this somewhere that reading is kind of a forced meditation. You force
Yeah.
yourself to some time, and after some time it becomes a meditative process. That's like any other
Mm.
any other skill, I think. So yeah, that's taking us to the final questions about
Yeah.
what are your future plans, what do you what's your current state of mind, and what do you see yourself doing in near future, or maybe in later future?
So I live by a lot of quotes. So a lot of like pointers. So one of the thing is never say never. So or have a plan. So I don't have a plan as such, like what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like similar to design, I didn't know I was coming to design. I didn't know I'm going to be an industrial designer. I didn't know I'm going to design things for a website.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I want to do in the sense, and I'm fine with it because I think the the environment we are in itself is changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
New things are implementing. Tesla is introducing robots for God's sake. So you see, like we are standing on like a minefield of experiences that are that can be coming in the future that you don't even know of. We didn't even know that user experience is a subject that we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
We didn't even know UX UI would even be a relevant role or position 5-10 years back,
Yeah.
and suddenly it is a big thing now. So I think like I won't restrict myself, so I would actually go wherever the curiosity takes me,
Yeah.
and I'm really open for that because I would the other thing I would really want to go inside AI. I like after this, even though my system thinking is like top priority, but I actually want to know more about artificial intelligence and how we could create experiences around it.
Yeah.
And inside gaming industries, oh my god,
Wow.
one of the things I actually wanted to like put go inside for the job was in a gaming firm, because they were mostly into what are these called? Uh, what are these called?
Yeah. VR sets, VR
I
headset.
forgot. VR sets. Yeah. So they were actually wanting designers to design experiences using VR.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, and there were some companies were also looking at AI, user experience in AI.
Yeah.
So that was like, I would like, at least for like the next 5 years, I would actually want to go inside that if I could ever get a chance, because that would be like a complete shift from like just digital, because then you're playing in a physical realm as well. You're bringing physical and digital together, and that would be like so good
Hang on.
to have an experience there.
Yeah.
I would really want to go there. So I didn't think about it, but now that I'm thinking, I think there's like we have like a minefield of possibilities coming in front of us, and I think it's better like since the pandemic hit us, that nothing is going to be the same again. Not all fields are going to remain in the future.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to be really adaptive, and they need to adapt to what the future is. Now, work from home wasn't a thing before, now it's a thing.
Yeah.
And we have to be really adaptive of everything. We have to give, if you lose something, you're gaining something else. So I think everyone should be really curious of what's going to happen and just dive there. And this is the best thing that's happened, at least for a person like me.
Yeah.
Because now I don't think that my vagueness and lack of goal is a bad thing. It's a good thing because now I can just go anywhere I want, wherever the curiosity takes me. And that's what's happening with everything else as well. So be open
Yeah.
and never say never.
Yeah. I think that's a really good mindset, and it's very inspiring. And thanks Rishala for such an insightful conversation.
I
And
hope so.
yeah, I think I've personally learned
I hope so.
a number of things, and kind of reminded myself while I was talking to you about certain things that I'll be doing, and also talking to you later about. So
Good.
yeah, thanks for doing this, Tashala. I think I
Thank you as well.
really good talk.
Keep inspiring people, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, I take your leave, and I see you soon.
Hope so. I'm coming. Hopefully, I come next month's end. And I don't know whether you're planning to visit Bombay or something.
Yeah,
So
I
I'll be there at least for 2 months. Thank God for work from home because I'll be working from there,
that's a
and
good.
I have like a longer period in there.
Yeah, I think it's
That's the another thing I love about pandemic.
yeah, it's still uncertain for me because I have been in my room for way too long, except going out to play and stuff. But yeah,
That's a good thing. At least you're playing.
yeah, I think I also kind of took a step back and realized that I maybe need to go into something competitive, other than sitting in front of a PC, and kind of been trying different things, different sports, and spending training myself. And also, trust me, as you've mentioned, it also helped me a lot, becoming a better person maybe. So yeah, let's just end it here, and I hope to see you soon, Tushar. Peace out.